Stager and Vicki Arnold shared before church about their time going to Kenya and to the refugees from South Sudan who are in Uganda. We, as a church, have had a relationship with Rosemary Kamadi, working with the South Sudanese for over 20 years. And South Sudan is a country that's still at war, and over 1 million people fled from South Sudan into Uganda and are now in refugee camps. And Rosemary is working with those refugees in terms of mostly education. So it was a huge encouragement to me, and I think everybody else who heard this before the service, and I hope that it is true here today as well, that there will be some hearts that are really ignited for this ministry, and for those who already supported, that it would be refueled. So looking forward to hearing from you guys.
Okay. Well, good morning. We are really excited to share about our trip to Uganda. And many of you already, I know all about Peace International. But there are those of you out there that don't. So my piece this morning, P-I-E-C-E, is to share the background. So we at Cornerstone have been involved with and supporters of, I have to comment on this picture. I'm sorry. I'm the old lady in the left. That's present day, and that's Rosemary Kamadi on the right, long time ago. And that person in the middle, I didn't recognize, but I think it's my husband, way, way back. So I'm older than his mother would be at that age. So just so you know, I almost brought out a picture of me young, but I didn't bother. So sorry about that. Okay, back to the important stuff. We've actually been supporting Rosemary since the beginning of Cornerstone. She's the director and founder of Peace International. So Barry has known Rosemary, obviously, for a very long time, for over 30 years, and I got to know her shortly after. She was working with World Relief and later Sea Partners in South Sudan. It was just Southern Sudan back then. It was one country. They were training pastors and church leaders and eventually building a school. Barry was the global outreach pastor at Good Shepherd Community Church at the time, and he took teams to South Sudan to help assess relief and development needs there and to train pastors and church leaders. When the war broke out in 2013 between Sudan in the north and Sudan in the south, the school, which was just getting ready to open, was confiscated by the army and used as their barracks. And many, many people were killed. Lots and lots of people were killed, mostly the men, even women and children. And the rest of them who weren't killed fled on foot for safety to Uganda. And the ones that survived that trip settled in the UN refugee camp where they are now. Rosemary learned where they had fled to in Uganda because she obviously couldn't work with anyone in South Sudan at the time. Her heart for the South Sudanese led her to go to Uganda. She asked the refugees what she could do for them. They didn't ask for a lot of things. They said one thing: please educate our children. They are our future. So Rosemary got to start her own organization, Peace International. It stands for Partners in East Africa for Community Empowerment. What started as a school with one class of nursery-age students under a big tree has become a lot larger in the last 10 years. There are now 10 classrooms, and they actually meet in buildings. Every year a new grade was added, one at a time, and they grew slowly. And so now those children are graduating and did graduate in December. They're raising up young men and women starting at a very young age to know Jesus. Hopefully the new generation will be transformed and live out their Christianity, and we pray that there will be peace, not war, for their people. But there is more to Peace International than just a school. They empower women to build a way to make money. They do tailoring, they do agriculture so that they can provide for their families. They train pastors and church leaders, and they do trauma healing. These people have been through horrible things, and trauma healing is so important, helping them to deal with life. Last month, it was 10 years, and those little students under the tree graduated. 10 years later, it was the first graduation for Peace International. We were honored to be there at their first graduation, and I had just become the new treasurer for the board of directors in the fall, and I never thought I'd go back to Africa, but Mark is on the board, and Mark and Laura invited me to go, and I couldn't help it. I had to go. I've known about this ministry all along, and it was so exciting and fun for me to be able to see it in person, spending time with Rosemary, lots of long talks, seeing the people that work with her, her staff, and just the parents, the teachers, some of the students, and just to see what God has done through Peace over the years. It's amazing. The Lord continues to bless this ministry, and I have to tell you, Rosemary Kamadi is one of the most faithful followers of Jesus that I have ever known in my whole life. She is amazing. Now, we give all honor to the Lord, and she would make sure that I said that, but she is amazing. The Lord uses her in a big way. So she's full of energy, and everything they do there, they try to honor the Lord. You can tell I'm a little bit passionate about this ministry, and but it's so fun to see the Lord at work, and I'm honored to be a small part of it. Now, Mark and Laura are going to tell you a little more.
Good morning. Let's see here. The graduation was a blessing for all involved, and it was very encouraging to see everyone praising God for all of the progress at the Peace Primary School. It's the only school in the Alua 1 settlement of roughly 7,000 people. Here's some pictures of the 7th grade graduates and their families. Some of you might be wondering, well, what happens next for these graduates? Like most things in Africa, it's complicated and it's difficult. Of the 24 graduates, only 2 are females. Due to COVID, many of the girls returned to their hometowns in South Sudan and were betrothed or became engaged and stayed in South Sudan. Fortunately, though, since COVID is no longer an issue, future classes are expected, they currently, and are expected to have more girls. There is good news. In preliminary exams taken by the students this last summer, the graduates performed in the top 5% throughout the Adjumani district. And nearly all of the 24 graduates are expected to qualify to attend secondary school. However, we won't know how many will choose to go or be able to afford secondary school. In Uganda, it's not like the United States. Parents have to pay to attend junior high school and high school. Also, secondary schools are so far away from the settlement that they can't walk to get to school. So, boarding school is their only option, and the cost in Adjumani for an 8th grader, including room and board, is around $1,800 per student per year. Their parents have begun to raise money through farming and tailoring, but they will likely only be able to raise between 20 and 50% of the costs of continuing education. So Peace has agreed to try and raise money through a scholarship fund to help some of the best performing children attend secondary school. What I want you to know that the children and the community of Alua 1 have very little, have almost nothing, but they have hope and faith in God, and they will tell you. Your prayers and your financial support have helped thousands of lives of people you may never meet in heaven, or you will never meet until you reach heaven.
So Mark shared about the graduates, and I bet you're wondering how you can pray for them. Well, the graduates and their parents will find out their test scores on the 3rd week of January, and school starts the 1st week of February, so they have a very short window to do what we do in a year and a half with our kids when they head off to college. So Pray for wisdom as the students graduate, as they get their test scores, as the parents try to decide which of the 3 schools we toured they would want their children to go to. Pray that they will have wisdom beyond what they know, and that God will be leading and directing whether they should go to school or to vocational school, or to stay in the community and start contributing financially to their families. Rosemary shared her dream for starting a vocational school in the community right behind the Peace Primary School. She would like to start small, just like she did with the school, like Vicki talked about, with just a room or 2 for sewing, where they already own 8 machines at Peace, and then for goat herding and for crop agriculture, and then maybe expand later into motorbike repair, because there are a lot of motorbikes there, and maybe some technology, and goat keeping. They learn business practices, and they form small VSLAs, groups of 30, so they can save money and pool it and reinvest it. Electricity is coming to the community, and that's exciting. Cables are already in place all the way to the school building, and now it's up to the government, I think, to decide when to connect them and to when to start using the electricity. So Rosemary's dream is to build a library and resource center. Build, I say loosely, because they already have the classroom they can use. Just one classroom with books for resources, and maybe down the road a few computers, so the children can start to learn computer skills and can start to learn how to use the internet for research, and have some technology classes. PEACE is an acronym. It stands for Partnership in East Africa for Community Empowerment. And this ministry really focuses on the partnerships and the empowerment. So PEACE partners with refugees to help provide them with a safe environment, with schooling, and with food for their children for breakfast and lunch. And then they want to teach and develop the whole community, the parents and the children, so that they can get up on their own 2 feet, earn money, and support themselves. So PEACE is trying to work itself out of a job in the Alua One community so that it can move on to another community and do the same thing. Rosemary believes in building small and going deep. So this community of 7,000 people has benefited over 10 years from a consistent presence of PEACE International, helping them to learn these skills. We have a prayer card. If you want to, anyone of any age is capable of praying for this ministry. So Angie at the information table has these new and updated prayer cards that can tell you how you can support them, and it also gives you connection to the website and to the social media accounts. That will just help you remember. They'll keep if you see them on your social media feed, you might remember to pray for them more. And God is doing an amazing thing in Uganda. You are already all part of it because Cornerstone has been so faithful in partnership with this ministry. If you want to become more involved, you can find out how to become your own monthly donor or one-time donor through the website. Be part of what God's doing, and please keep praying for this ministry.